I'm NTV's Chris Wagner, and I am sitting in Axtell, Nebraska at the NTV studios. But right now, we're going to dig into the sports trading card business. And for that, I am lucky enough to talk to a representative from Upper Deck. Yes, that Upper Deck, the big card company. We're talking to Ed Spiker, Senior Brand Manager of Sports with Upper Deck. And Ed, thank you for giving me a few minutes today.
Oh, my pleasure. Happy to join.
So I want to go down a couple avenues with you, but first, uh, where are we now with the whole sports trading card genre? I feel like it's heated back up over the past few years recently. We have celebrities and big sports stars doing the whole ripping packs open and seeing what they can find in the box openings. It's become kind of a viral thing on Twitter and social media now.
It has. Yeah, no, the sports trading card industry is very strong as a whole. There's a tremendous amount of excitement and enthusiasm for trading cards and really collectibles overall, but specifically trading cards. And it's been growing for a little over a decade now. And, it was really supercharged during the pandemic, right? You had a lot of people that had some free time on their hands trying to figure out how to fill it. And, people pulling their collections out of the basement, out of the attic, or what have you, and kind of just reinvigorated them and maybe introduced them to their kids. And of course, there was a little more disposable income. You weren't going out to dinner and movies and so forth. So, yeah, we really saw a massive uptick during the pandemic and following the pandemic. Kind of thought we might see a little bit more of a decline, kind of getting back to where it was, and it really didn't. So, yeah, no, it's growing strong. And specifically, we've seen growth in hockey card collecting specifically. There are a variety of reasons why. One of them being the quality of our products, our continued innovation, which I'll talk about more in a little bit, I'm assuming. But the game of hockey, both in the US and around the world, has grown significantly and has never been stronger. More and more are catching on to what a special game it is. When you look at the skill and the physicality and the continued play, it's arguably unmatched in that regard. And this past season, the NHL eclipsed 23 million in attendance for the first time ever. And it was the third straight year that they had set a new attendance record. And that 23 plus million they had this year was 96.9% capacity. So, the people are, going to the games and enjoying the games. And of course, on TV, there was, over 100 exclusive games across ESPN, ESPN Plus, Hulu, ABC, TNT had games, and well over 1,000 games on the NHL Power Play. And this season, of course, was also just a magical. It was really just a culmination of a lot of things happening this year, where you had the Four Nations tournament, which was a really massive success with the four powerhouses, US, Finland, Sweden, and Canada, that went off really well, which, of course, is creating a great deal of excitement for next year's Olympic Games. You had Alex Ovechkin breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal scoring mark, which just a few short years ago people deemed to be untouchable. And of course, you have the greatest, what many people consider to be the best player in the game today, Connor McDavid with Edmonton chasing another Stanley Cup. So there's just been a great deal of excitement for this whole season. And in addition to that, you also have the rapid growth of the women's game and the recent birth of the Professional Women's Hockey League, which just wrapped up its second season. They're expanding to more cities next season with Vancouver and Seattle, and they'll be adding more franchises over the coming years. And we've seen strong demand for our PWHL products. And really, lastly, I think there's just been over the last 15 or so years a really explosion in the youth hockey programs around the country. And the collegiate game's getting stronger and stronger each year. And so hockey's just in a great place. And it really just bodes well for the hockey trading card industry.
Here in Nebraska, again in the Kearney area, we've got the Tri-City Storm, USHL, Lincoln Stars out in Lincoln, Nebraska, Omaha Lancers, and Omaha. So Nebraska definitely well represented in that younger junior league for hockey. So definitely hockey fans around here, certainly.
Yeah, we're seeing players come out of places you never, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it would have happened. But yeah, people are coming out of places that aren't, where frozen lakes and what have you. So yeah, it's grown considerably.
Something about the whole sports trading card business that I find interesting to me is when I was younger, when I was collecting cards, I would buy the Beckett Monthly magazine almost every month, and I would chart my stuff and see how much things were worth and all that stuff. And I spoke to a one of your certified diamond dealers back in Pennsylvania a week or so ago, from before we are talking today, and he pointed out it's more like the stock market now. It's almost like it changes hour by hour, day by day, almost like the whole old school monthly magazine is out of date. How do you think would be the best way for trading card connoisseurs to keep track of, a value of their investment?
Yeah, that it's tricky. There probably isn't one bona fide way to do that. There are various, Beckett still exists. There's a lot of online sites, Cardboard Connection, and there's a number of those sites out there that are promoting the hobby and providing information. But really, yeah, to get your values, you really the secondary market sites like eBay is a really popular place for people to sell their cards. And they have tools in there which you can go in there and look up your card and see what people have been selling them for. So you can go, type in your card, go to completed sales, and that's probably the best gauge for what people are willing to pay for it. You can look, obviously, there's a couple ways to sell cards. You can, put them up for auction, or you can just have a flat price with maybe a best offer option. But I find for myself personally as a collector that, eBay is my best bet for giving me really probably the closest number to what my card that I'm looking at is worth.
Do you have any, handful or a particular card that gets a lot of attention or a player that gets a lot of attention within the Upper Deck, series and, regardless of what sport it is?
Well, definitely, with core, I'd say Connor McDavid for sure. There's a number of big names in the hockey space from Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, and so any cards of those, and when they do things like win a Stanley Cup possibly, or which Connor McDavid may possibly do here, or win some trophies like MVP or whatever. Those are the kind of things that, of course, that boost their values. But yeah, any card where the most popular rookie cards, of course, always have long driven the industry, and they still do. So, rookie cards for top prospects is still always big. And so we have some iconic rookie cards in the hockey space from the rookie auto patch cards in the Cup, which is our most high-end product. And then the Young Guns, which comes out in our Upper Deck series, or Young Guns rookie cards. Those are the most widely collected rookie cards across the board. And so, yeah, anything with an autograph, anything with game used memorabilia, anything might have, maybe there's cards with rink glass from a Stanley Cup final, or from one of the outdoor games. There's a lot of cards out there that have, there's a wide variety of memorabilia that's available in cards now. Technology developments over the last couple of decades has really allowed us to do a variety of things with material that even 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, just never could consider. So, but yeah, your rookie cards and your top stars still drive everything. And if you can put an autograph on top of that, and then even better, an autograph and a piece of memorabilia, you're in good shape and you're happy.
I was gonna say you mentioned the memorabilia and the technology allows you to do it. Like I don't ever remember having a card with a piece of a jersey or something like that in there when I was a kid. So it's very very cool that you guys are able to do that now and make the whole collecting space even more exciting. I think for a lot of folks.
It is, I kind of try to imagine because yeah, when I started collecting too, there was no such thing, and so I try to imagine. I've seen it, of course, at trading card shows and what have you. But seeing a 10-year-old kid that has his favorite player, a card of his favorite player in his hand, and it's got a jersey in there that the player wore. I mean, they're just over the moon. It's just such a special thing. That creates memories, and of course, that contributes to people becoming fans of the game too, or continually becoming fans of the game. We're continuing. So, yeah, no, it's a special thing, and I wish had been around when I was a kid. I don't know how I would have reacted.
I know here just a few years ago, and this is how random this is. So I was at a consignment auction, and they just have stuff laying out here in rural Nebraska. And I found a shoebox with a bunch of cards in it, and there was a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card in it. And I don't know what the grade on it is, but I bought the whole box for $20, and I think I did pretty good.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, that's, I wonder how many of those are out there. I mean, I'm talking about the card specifically, but yes, people, I know there are people that go hunt to go to estate sales and things like that, yard sales, and, seeing everybody selling cards. But yeah, that's a pretty good find. That was a special because, of course, that's Upper Deck. That's an iconic card in the sense that, that was Upper Deck's first year. And so, yeah, that's a special one. Of course, he was a special player as well.
So we're talking about where the industry is now and where it was. Do you have any idea where it's going to be 10, 20 years from now and what kind of advancements we could see?
That's really hard to tell because, as we all know, technology kind of it seems to advance, exponentially. So really, what's available in 5 years is really hard to predict. But one thing is that we're basically founded on three core principles, right? Authenticity, quality, making the best trading card, and innovation. And so we definitely those principles drive us to this day. And anybody that, of course, collected cards in the 80s knows that Upper Deck, changed the game in a number of ways. And we've been very innovative. So, whatever's going to happen in the future, we're definitely going to be on top of it. So I'd say here's a good example. Sometimes we have ideas where, we still need to wait for technology to catch up to it. So, like, for example, our president had an idea of creating an online platform, basically a hobby shop on the internet. And, back in like 2006, but there just wasn't the means to do so at that time. But 10 years later, it became a reality. So, we're always looking to innovate. We've innovated a lot during the course of our time in the business from, ways to prevent, when we first started, the hologram, the anti-counterfeiting hologram, to the foil wrapper, which was to dissuade people from opening packs and resealing packs, to the e-pack platform, which was the first of its kind, which basically opened up collecting to the entire world. So if you didn't have a hobby shop that was in your area and you wanted to collect, you still could. And we've created a very strong, robust online community there too, where you can collect cards, you can trade cards with other people on the platform. So that was a very significant advance, and of course, leading the way. And now other companies will certainly follow. Another thing we've done recently too is with our Cup product, rookie auto patch cards in there, which are the most coveted rookie cards of the season each year. We've actually slabbed those cards. We've put a QR code on there where you can go look up on a site, theauthority.com, and you can see all sorts of images of that card, and you can know where it came from and know that it's an authentic deal because there's an issue in the industry right now with patch swapping or jersey swatching, where they'll get a card, they'll take that mem out and replace it with a better swatch from maybe something else. And the idea, of course, is that the better the swatch, the more valuable the card. More colors or a certain part of the patch is better than other parts of the patch. So we're working on creating ways to eliminate that and create something where it's very important for us. So when you're spending hard-earned money on something, that you need to know that it's authentic and it's real. You need to feel good about that purchase. So the reason why I mentioned this, it kind of goes into that innovation step. So while we don't really necessarily know where things are going to be in 5, 10 years, just because we don't know the tools that will be available to us, we do know that we'll be at the forefront. We're always looking for ways to improve the hobby, the collecting experience for everybody.
I'm amazed when I think of counterfeiting. I think of money, and I think of how the government tries to stop that. But I would not have thought of the counterfeiting in the sports card space. My goodness.
Yeah, yeah. Anytime there's money involved, I suppose there's always somebody out there trying to, figure out a way to, kind of cut corners or what have you. And it's unfortunate, because you don't want to have a situation where, let's say you are that 10-year-old kid and you've got a card with your favorite player and it's a piece of patch or jersey and the player wore it, maybe even a game. It's a special thing. If you go send it in to get it graded and you come to find out that's actually not, the card got pulled apart and that's not the actual, that would be really disappointing and it would really damage that person's perception of the industry and stuff. And so again, we really want to look out for the collector and make sure that things like that don't happen. So one thing, look into the future. We've just rolled this out about a week ago when the product was released. And now we're looking at the feedback and because we always take into consideration what the collector themselves are saying, what hobby shop owners, distributors are saying, and we accumulate all of that to help make decisions moving forward. And so if based on how that goes, we're going to give it some time to evaluate. We could see that expand beyond just this particular set inside this particular product. You could see more of that going forward. And I think technology will make it easier, right? Because you have to, when you're taking multiple images of thousands of cards, it does take time. And so, but yeah, the technology will, of course, make things like that a lot easier and, easier for vendors to set up. Um, yeah, so all I know is looking forward, there's going to definitely be some exciting developments. Just precisely what that is, I really couldn't say.
Two more questions before I let you go. One, I see all the golf stuff in the background on the wall. It's Oakmont. It's U.S. Open weekend as we talk.
It
Uh,
is.
what kind of big stuff does Upper Deck have going on when it comes to the U.S. Open?
Well, we don't have any specific towards this specific event, but we do have a lot of athletes competing in the event. So we do produce golf products as well. Typically, we have three that are currently in the works right now, and we have a number of golfers. Of course, I don't know if you can see Tiger Woods there, but we've got partnerships with a large number of golfers from Tiger Woods on to Victor Hovland, who's doing quite well in the Open, at least the last time I checked. Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, and on down the line. So. Um, we definitely pay attention to those events and see how the players are doing, um, just because, we're in partnership with them, and of course we want to see them succeed. Um, but yeah, looking at the pictures in the back, we are so much more than a hockey company, hockey trading card company. Of course, we have an entertainment division. DC is a big component of that, and there's a number of other licenses in there. On the sports side, we've got, beyond hockey, we do, like I said, the golf products. And we have some multi-sport products with athletes from around, from every kind of discipline, from there's boxing, water polo, rifle, MMA, just surfing, there's athletes represented from, a number of different sports. And so, uh, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little wandering here, but yeah, basically with the golf, we don't do anything specific for this particular event, but we will recognize, let's say Victor Hovland wins the event, we'll certainly put out some marketing materials to say, hey, congratulations to Victor for winning this event. If we have any cards like on our EPAC platform, for example, we might direct people to say, hey, you can go here and collect cards of him, or if there's a particular product that's certainly on the shelves at the time, we'll maybe provide reminders of that.
Sounds good. My last question, I'm in Nebraska. Is there any particular card or player or anything that people should look for when that has Nebraska ties to it that you would feel like whether it's brand new or something that Upper Deck's done in the past, that would be high on a collectible list?
Yeah, well, it's good timing for this question because we've recently released a product called World of Sport Volume 1, and what it is a comprehensive NCAA product. We talked about like there's definitely, obviously the hobby has been dedicated for decades to the four major sports, but really over recent years, there's been a lot more attention paid towards the amateurs, including the collegiate athletes. And so we've paired with a student athlete representation agency, the Brandar Group, Exemplar Associates, and the Collegiate Licensing Company to produce trading cards for a wide variety of collegiate sports. And so our first comprehensive NCAA product is World of Sport Volume 1. And so we have some of the best young athletes from around the country included. And of course, many of them are appearing on trading cards for the very first time. But we are proud that we have the University of Nebraska in that product. So we've got an abundance of cards featuring Huskers such as Jordy Ball, Bryce Williams, Harper Murray, Isaac Gifford, and so forth. So across volleyball, track and field, softball, men's basketball, and so forth. So for anybody that's a Cornhuskers fan that is into collecting trading cards or is thinking about getting into it, I would definitely take a look at the World of Sport. You're going to see some athletes that you might already be a fan of or know about.
Sounds great. I don't know if we can end on a better note than that with the Nebraska tie-in there. Ed Spiker, Senior Brand Manager of Sports at Upper Deck. Thank you so much for giving me a handful of minutes today to talk about sports cards. It's been a lot of fun.
No, I appreciate the opportunity. It's been a pleasure speaking to you and appreciate your interest in Upper Deck and the trading card industry.